Have you ever thought about how much you or friends spend on parking each year? If you live in a small town or a small city, that might not be an issue, but if you live in like a big city that's known for being crowded and bustling, like public parking may be a problem. So, my name is Jason Wang, and I live in a small town in Texas that's about an hour from Corpus Christi. It's not known for having many parking issues, but when visiting a big city recently, I just I was just paying so much for parking and just doing things around the city just because I was going to a lot of public venues and whatnot, and it just became a big issue and a big expense. So when visiting places like Houston, paying to park is like a whole different story compared to like being in a small town in Texas, such as Mathis, Texas, or Alice, Texas. If y'all know where those places are. I believe that parking should be looked as a public service and be provided free of charge. And events hosted in big arenas or buildings that usually require to pay for parking and additional fees should just have those fees as free and just be provided as a public service basically. Parking in general is just not worth it usually, as a lot of businesses overcharge and it's one of their biggest money makers. I believe that paying anywhere to park is pretty crazy, just considering driving on the road is free and looked as like a civil service and like a civil act anybody can do. It's understandable that businesses near crowded areas and traffic jammed areas or traffic heavy areas could offer a service like parking for some money, but like for a venue or event, they should be able to provide a free service such as let's see it, say an NBA game, they should be providing the parking for free instead of you having to pay for parking somewhere else or at the stadium itself, which is usually more expensive. So paying for parking in general, I believe is not worth it. And as I stated earlier, I believe it is overcharged. And in big cities, rates for parking can be anywhere from $5 to $30. From my own personal experience in Los Angeles, this was what like the range was usually. It's come to the point where you need to even like pay for parking, overnight parking at some hotels or parking lots. And I just believe to have to like pay to keep your property in a designated spot for like a set period of time is like a disservice. Not to mention like some of the parking rates are fixed, making like someone only parking for a little bit of time waste their money on keeping their vehicle safe in one spot for like a short span compared to like somebody that would need the parking for a little bit longer or something like that. So I believe like the biggest problem with providing free parking may be like the sheer amount of people that need parking in the area, and this is a big problem to solve, and that's probably one of the biggest problems in providing free public parking. I mean, I believe that like if we incorporate a time system in parking garages in public areas, this could be a good solution. Just requiring people to say, "Oh, how long do you need to park?" or having timestamps of when you need to be out by could provide like a better traffic throughout the area. So in this speech, I've discussed why parking should be considered as like a public service, as well as how businesses usually like overcharge for parking and how it's like a big money maker for these businesses, and that's why they're charging these rates. I just believe it's unfair in a sense. As a collective, I believe we need to set a new policy that provides free parking in an efficient way and that allows everybody to park in a time-based system. Thank you for listening to my speech.